Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam Allah, wa rasulullah. Welcome to our Hadith class, and we are studying the books, the Divine Hadith Qudsi from Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. And tonight we'll be looking at Hadith number 88 in this beautiful collection. This Hadith is narrated by a Hurayth ibn Qudsi. Hurayth ibn Qudsi. I cannot do that. Hurayth, which is one of my favorite names. Hurayth ibn Qabisa. He said that he arrived in Medina. And when he arrived in Medina, he said, "Oh Allah, make it easy for me to find a good companion." He then went and sat with Abu Hurairah and said, "I prayed to Allah to help me find a good companion. So tell me a hadith that you heard from the Prophet," because he recognized who Abu Hurairah was. He went to Medina. Of course, this is after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, and he went there in search, of goodness and changing the condition of himself. And he saw Abu Hurairah, recognized him and said, "Tell me something that you heard from the Prophet that I can benefit from." And so Abu Hurairah told him, he said, "I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say the first thing which a person will be brought to account for will be his prayer. If it is good, then he will have succeeded and be saved. But if it is not good, then he will have lost and be doomed." And one of the narrators said, I don't know whether this was the words of Qatada or if this was a part of the hadith where also it says, if anything is lacking from his obligatory prayers, he will say, "Look and see what my servant did in regards to voluntary prayers to make up for that deficiency." Okay. Basically, we talked about this hadith the other day in the class, the 6 o'clock class. Some of the people who like to refute the hadiths, they say that they don't believe in the Quran. They believe in the Quran, but they don't believe in the hadith unless it's a hadith Qudsi. They try to pit this hadith, whereas the Abu Hurairah tells us that the Prophet said the first thing that will be asked about is the prayer, and if it is good, everything else is good. Then there's another authentic hadith, also Bukhari and Muslim, that says that the Prophet said the first thing that will be asked about is what? Can y'all remember it? Anybody remember? We just went over it the other day. Let me test and see if my students pay attention. It's from the resurrection class. There's another hadith that says the first thing that will be asked about is any unnecessary bloodshed, murder. The first people that will be held to account are the murderers. A lot of people say that these two hadiths contradict each other, which shows that we cannot trust the hadith. These people are idiots. These people are liars. These hadiths do not contradict each other, and they're both authentic. The hadith about the first thing that a person will be judged about or held accountable for is any unnecessary murder. That's in regards to violating the rights of the people. The prayer is the first thing that Allah is going to ask us about in regards to his rights. Remember, Allah has rights over us, and the people have rights over us. Just like when we die, all debts that we have not paid off, we're going to be held accountable for. But the first debts are the debts we owe to Allah. What are the debts we owe to Allah? The Hajj that you didn't make. and you were able to. Those Ramadan fasts that you didn't fast and you could. Any debts owed to Allah has to be paid off. If they ain't paid off, you're held accountable. And then the debts that's owed to the people. What are the debts owed to the people? The money you owe them. So just like that, Allah has rights over us, just like the people do. The first thing that Allah is going to ask you about in regards to your rights to Him are your prayers. The first thing that you will be asked about in regards to the rights of the people is whose life did you take unjustly? Who did you kill with your tongue and your hand? So there's no contradiction in the Hadiths. It's just that the people don't study them. They don't have teachers to teach them, because one of the signs of the last hour is the Sunnah will become abandoned and forgotten. And it's already happening. The prophet said there will appear many people who can recite the Quran, and they can recite it and sing it beautifully, but it'll never go past their throats, meaning they won't have no understanding of what they're saying because they won't know my Sunnah. They don't know the Hadiths. You will never understand the Quran until you learn the Hadiths. And that's when the prophet said, don't be intimidated if you live to see this day when the men can recite the Quran so beautifully. Don't be intimidated by them because they don't know what they're saying. That's why you find a person like me. Do I care that I don't speak Arabic? No, I ain't intimidated. I know the Sunnah. I know the Hadiths. Give me a verse. I'll tell you the story behind it. But let me throw a verse at you. With all your memorization of Quran and your beautiful tajweed, you don't know what the heck you saying. Okay. So this is why they hate the Hadith so much. Not because it's contradiction. It's because they don't understand the Hadith, because people are not learning them. The scholars of Hadith are few. And when they die, they take all that knowledge with them. Sheikh Albani took it with him. Sheikh Uthaymeen took it with him. Bin Baz took it with him. Qaradari took it with him. Umar al-Ashqar took his with him. Sheikh Morsi will take his with him. Subhanallah. It's sad because we're not putting emphasis on learning the Sunnah. So that's why they hate the Sunnah. Yeah, so a wonderful hadith, that shows the importance of guarding our prayers, making sure that we perform those prayers. One of the things that I'm always telling my students is, don't try to cushion the prayer around your life. You cushion your life around the prayer. Don't try to make it a convenience for you to make you stop what you're doing. Allah gave us those 5 daily prayers at different times of the day to see how much we really believe in Him. You stop what you're doing, be it school, be it work, be it whatever, and remember your Lord. That's the first thing that Allah is going to ask you about is your prayer. Did you remember me? Did you stop doing what you're doing to remember me? All right. Okay. So who would like to share how this hadith impacts them in their journey in life? Anybody? Go ahead and take the mic.
Alhamdulillah. We were discussing about the prayer and how Allah has rights over us about that today. And one thing out of that lesson I was thinking about is that especially the men that are at war, if it's time to pray, they gotta stop. And whoever the imam is, they was talking about how the formation of that going. And so that gives, me a thought that, whatever time of the day, even if I have to go out of the house, the prayer is more important than what I got to do. And I know sometimes it could be a little fight, but then I think about Allah is looking at me And this is, as you say tonight, and as I heard today, this is a right that we owe to Allah. And it is a fight. But the thing is, you got to find out what is important first. Allah is important first. So, and it's the protection. This prayer is a protection if we have to go outside the house, or even if we're just in the house, you stop doing what you're doing. If it's cleaning up, whatever it is,
Right.
you stop doing what you're doing and bow down to Allah. This is it, we're in the last days. This is it. So, so Allah is talking to me today. He's been talking to me all day about this prayer, and I'm going to try my best to fight to keep it.
Yeah, this is what I was, why I get so, Muslims today think they're so privileged, that you think that your school owes you a prayer room. Like I say, don't nobody owe you no prayer room. Don't nobody owe you nothing. It ain't nobody's business that it's time to pray. Prayer is personal. That's between you and Allah, not you and the world. While you're standing up asking a teacher, can you have a private prayer room? That shows me that you're showing off. Prayer is a personal ibadah between you and Allah. Don't nobody owe you nothing. You get up off your nasty behind, make wudu, and go find a place to squat and pray. Okay? Instead of thinking that the world owes you anything. These apologetic, weak Muslims today, they could never survive like I did growing up. Growing up, nobody owed me nothing. I went at 6, 7 years old into the coat room and made my prayer. In the stairwell in junior high, made my prayer. Nobody knew what I was doing. Even now as an adult working, when I was working, I would go in the laundry room, bathroom, make my prayer. Nobody knew. That's my business. But kids today, they want to, teacher, I'm a Muslim. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know you don't want to hear it, but I'm a Muslim. Can I please have a place to go pray? Aren't I entitled to that? Well, since I don't have a place to pray, then I guess I won't pray at all. Thank you, teacher. I'm sorry. This is Muslims today, just weak, ignorant people, just weak. Yeah, but the world doesn't owe us. You got to do like Jamila said, when it's time to pray, you drop what you're doing, go find a place to huddle and pray. It ain't nobody's business but you and Allah. It ain't nobody's business. Yeah, anybody else would like to share? Thank you for that, Jamila. Who else?
I would like to share.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I remember I've read many times when talking about the prayer and talking about the salat and how they said to guard the middle prayer, and how they said what they was talking about that because that part of the day is the most busiest for many people. They're working more or they're doing something more than they usually do in the morning or at night. But that was to say that it's so important to make salat. I have had sisters that worked for me, and it would be time for salat. And I remind them it's time for salat. And they would say, oh, yeah, I know, but I'll do it. And as soon as I get through cleaning this up, or as soon as I get through doing this, then I'll make salat. I said, oh, no, sister, you can make it now. You can make it now. It's all right. That's one of the blessings of working for a Muslim. You can make salat. You can make it when you're not. When I was going to USC, I found me a place, and that was night when I went to that college. I found me a place where I could have solitude and where I could make salat. And it wasn't even crowded because it was in the nighttime. And it's so important to stop whatever it is you're doing, and make salat, because Allah, the Most High, it should be the most important thing and the most important in our lives. And we are going to be held accountable. We are going to be held accountable. And I see us getting further and further away from our salats. That's all.
Alhamdulillah. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Sabrina. Anybody else? Let me look on Facebook too. I'm sorry. Okay, here's something from Brother Noor. Brother Noor said, keep posting your videos after lecture. Some people don't have time to watch all classes. It's great to wake up knowing, oh, okay, yeah. Don't worry, I'll be posting it up, Brother Noor. Yeah, I always do them after the last class. That's why I'm doing this class now, so I won't be up all night with this whiplash. I'm doing this. Let's see what other comments. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else would like to share? Go ahead. Yeah, that's the first thing, that we're going to be asked about is that prayer with Allah. Yeah, go ahead, Jamila. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to get some clarification because I couldn't get it today. So I said, well, I'll ask Sister Layla. I know you talked about the combining of the prayers, and the situation came up today about the distance from your home. So, like, I understood the part where, like, if the prayer is going to come in maybe an hour or 30 minutes before, and you go, let's just say, for instance, if you go ahead and do dua prayer and you know that you maybe might not be able to make the other one on time, so you combine the dua with the asr. So, like, if you, let's say, how many miles can you be away from your own city? That's what I like to know.
I just talked about that in another class. And that's a good question for other people to see if they remember. Who can answer the question? All of you should know it. How many miles must a person be from their residence to combine and shorten prayers?
No miles. It depends on where you are out. Like, say, for instance, if you don't live there and you over there.
Exactly. It's not based on mileage. And this is how you can tell. This is one of the questions that me and Sheikh Morsi would ask people before they come. We allow them to come in here and teach. That's how you can tell if people follow the Sunnah or a method. Okay. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would combine and shorten his prayer, even if it was just to Kuba. Kuba is a suburb of Medina. It's whenever you leave your place of residence. Whenever you leave your place of residence to go to another part of the world, you can shorten and combine. That's it. So it's not based on miles at all. It's not based on distance at all. It's not based on time either. You can also combine and shorten your prayers for years if you are a traveler, as long as you're not settled. If you live in somewhere, your job sends you overseas for 2-3 years, and you living out that hotel, out of your suitcase, you can combine and shorten. You're a traveler. So it's not based on distance or time. And there's numerous hadiths that show the Prophet going less than a mile and combining, or other companion going here and combine. It's just whenever you go to a part of the earth that's not part of your home. Okay, but what we're going to have to do is understand this. We're supposed to schedule our life around the prayer, not the prayer around your life. If you out and about running the streets, you supposed to know when to go home and make your prayer. Okay, that's why Allah put those 5 prayers in effect for us, to see if you're going to remember him or if you're going to give into this dunya. Okay, so it don't matter what even at work, you got to stop your work and go to take a 5-minute break and make prayer at your job. The whole earth is a place of worship for us. We can pray anywhere on this planet except for in the pasture of a camel or a graveyard. Okay, so whatever you doing, if You know, that's why I used to tell the women here, you know what time the prayers come in. What are you doing shopping at Maghrib? Why would you wait till it's time for Maghrib to go grocery shopping? Allah tells us in the Quran that every prayer has its fixed time. Just like me, tomorrow, I have to get my hair done. That's something of the dunya. So, am I going to allow getting my hair done to interfere with my obligations to Allah? My obligations to Allah is to pray and then to be here to teach these classes. I scheduled myself at 8:30. Ain't no prayers in effect. That's after Fajr. I go get my hair done. She can take 3 hours and I'll be back here in time to broadcast the Juma prayer. You know, you schedule your life around the prayer, not the prayer around your life. But very few of us do that. You know, the first thing before you go to plan your shopping, to plan your appointments, to plan your school, you know, the first thing that we should think about is this gonna, how far is it from my home so I can pray if you a woman? How close is it to the mosque if I can pray if you a man? But how many of us are doing that? So to be honest, what are you doing out there stuck? Why are you in a position to combine anyway? Combining is only for certain reasons anyway. We just can't combine when we want to. Allah is going to ask you. So what's the reason to combine, first of all?
So combining is when you're traveling. But I was
no, only if you're traveling from one to a part of this earth that's not part of your residence. Because going to the store is a travel. Going to the school is travel. But that's all part of my residence. I ain't got no excuse to combine. I just don't go. I just make sure I don't go grocery shopping until after I pray my prayer or would be home within that time frame. You just can't combine because you out traveling. It's got to be outside of your residence. You understand?
Yeah, outside your home, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Y'all got the schedule. That's why I was telling that one little sister. I was listening to my Q&A from last week, 2 weeks ago, and I was telling that little young girl the same thing. I said, sister, your school, nobody owe you nothing. You plan your classes around the prayer, not your prayer around your classes. You know, you get your behind up, you in college, get your butt up and go make your salat like I used to do. I used to go pray in the bathroom. I walk out the classroom. You can go, leave, and this is college. Go use the toilet. They let them think you're using the bathroom. Just get up and leave. You ain't got to raise your hand and say, teacher, I'm a Muslim. Sorry, I got to go pray. Is there a room available? Yeah, y'all got to, live your life, but plan your life around the prayer, not the prayer around your life. Yeah. Yeah, so, but you only combine if you leave one place of residence. Like say, for example, I live in Cuyahoga Falls. Latifa, now I could, that's not good because I'm really far from them. Okay, let's use that. Now, I live in Cuyahoga Falls. Latifa lives in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't go to Cleveland for nothing. Cleveland is not part of my residence. So technically, I could combine my prayers if I left here to go visit Latifa. And by the way, Latifa's an hour away from me too. Okay, although it's not based on mileage anyway. But she's not where she lives. I don't live in Cleveland. I live in Cuyahoga Falls. So, but if I want to go from here to the store, that's part of my residence. I can't combine. Go to my doctor's office. I can't combine. That's part of my residence. You understand? Y'all understand how that works? Now, there's other reasons to combine too, such as sickness or bad weather. Say it's raining real bad. The imam can combine the prayers so the brothers ain't got to come back. Or say for a person is sick, like my mother, she can't stay awake. Or let's use Anissa. Anissa has to get up early in the morning. She cannot stay up to 10 o'clock waiting on no prayer. So Anissa can combine, you know, her Maghrib and her Isha and go to sleep. Okay, because there's no way she can stay up, you know. So there's excuses like that, or I'm sick. It's a hardship for me to get up and go to the bathroom, so I can combine my prayers because I'm sick, or I'm forgetful. I can't remember if I pray. So certain circumstances like that we can, but just because you out in the streets and you just you scared you might not get home from your being out in the streets in time, so you're gonna combine? No, that ain't no excuse. Because the law is gonna ask you, what were you doing in the street? Why weren't you home? Yeah. Didn't I tell you your home is better for you? The home is better for us, guys. Except if you're a man, then the mosque is. The mosque is better for the man. Yeah. Any other comments on this? Yeah.